connection.
For the devil, okay.
So for today's session, we are going to talk about another machine that is Devil, and the machine is right over here. Let me just show you. Here, this is Devil. Okay, so let's deploy this machine. Let's click on deploy here, and let's reset this machine as well for a fresh start. Okay, so the target IP address for today is going to be
10-5, yeah.
5. Okay, so before starting, do you have any doubts so far, like with respect to the machines that we have covered?
No, I've been also spending some time reading on more. So no doubt so far.
Okay, great. So,
I also did some reading on this devil machine. So today, as you said, we are not using Metasploit, right?
we are going to use Metasploit. Yeah, we today we are going to use Metasploit. From next session, we are not going to use Metasploit.
Next session, okay.
Yeah. But it is not going to be that easy with the Metasploit as well today. Okay, I'm going to show you something about reverse shell, how to use shells, how we can get a shell back. Okay, we will see on different stuff here. Okay, something new today.
Okay.
So let me just save it first of all. Okay, so here I am going to create my documentation parallelly. Okay. Okay, so let's try to ping the target IP address first of all. Okay, checking for the basic connectivity. I'm able to ping it successfully. Great. So what next? Let's create an nmap directory over here. Okay, and after creating the nmap directory, let's do a very basic nmap scan.
Enough scan with the SV.
So I'm going to run multiple nmap scans here. This is the most basic one. Let's open a new tab here. Let's do nmap. Let me increase the font size a little. Nmap hyphen p hyphen hyphen n hyphen vvv. Oops. Target IP address followed by how output all formats in the nmap directory into the.
Scan.
Okay. Let it run. Meanwhile, this thing is running. I do have two ports open here, 21 and 80. Okay, and here also you can see 21 and 80 are visible to us. Okay, so let's document this step as of now. Okay, let's do a print screen here. Copy this one out here. Let's go here. Let me just close it. Yeah. Port scan. Let's paste it. So ports that are open are 21 and 80. That is FTP and HTTP. Great. So I know by this point that some kind of an FTP server is running and HTTP server is running. Okay. Right. So here my full port scan is running. Let it run. Meanwhile, let's do one thing. Let's do nmap hyphen p 2180 scv hyphen capital O output all formats nmap scan 3. Okay. Let me just see if I have added all the flags. Yes, I have. Let's append sudo here and let's run this scan. So I'm running a version detection scan here, an OS detection scan here, and I'm running some sort of difficult scripts here. So let's see. Okay. Meanwhile, these scans are running. This is 28% completed. Let's do one thing. Let's open the browser and let's try to uh, visit this IP address. Let's try to open this IP address in the browser because it is there.
This.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I open this URL, when I open this IP address, and I try to open this IP address in the browser, what I see some kind of a default IIS page here.
IIS, yeah.
Okay, so it's a Windows server, IIS server. Okay, IIS 7. That's one thing.
Version 7.
IIS versions,
Versions.
and here I can see it is.
7 is done, so 2008. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be probably some Windows Vista or Windows Server 2008. Okay, so I'm not pretty sure about this thing, but I'm just trying to guess it. Okay, that's one thing. And I just clicked on this image and I got redirected. Okay, let's try to click on page source, view page source, and see if anything important is available here. Nothing here, like IAS 7 is the title. That's one thing. There's a welcome.html.
Image, yeah.
Let's try to visit this file. Okay, so this is the image file, which is acting as the home page, like the index page. Okay, okay, great. So let's take a note of this as well. Let me just do a full screen capture over here. So let's do enumeration here, HTTP, and paste it here. And I clicked on view page source. I believe the shortcut for view page source is, I believe, Control plus I. No, it is something like that only. I just need to check what is it. Control U. Yes. So if sometimes right click is disabled, you can do Control plus U to open the page source.
Page source.
Control U is the shortcut. Page source is here, and here I have this thing. Annotate. Oops. And let's take a snap of this thing as well. So simultaneously, I'm trying to document all of my steps. Okay. When I went here, this is my output. This is my output. Let's save this thing here as well. Okay. Let me first of all rearrange this zoom uh, toolbar because it is obstructing my pointer here. How can I move this? Let me try to figure this thing out. I'm not able to drag this thing. Well, anyways, let's continue. So, IS version, probable versions are here. So let's try to annotate them as well. It can be either this or it can be either this. Okay. So let's take a uh, let's take a snap of this thing as well and paste it here. Okay, great. So now what I can do is, one thing is I can try to do directory brute forcing. That's one thing, right? Okay. So we'll start with directory brute forcing as well. But just for a second, let's get back to our Nmap results and looking into -p -output. So all the 65,000 ports were scanned, but only 2 ports were open. Okay. So I can just do cat nmap scan 2 dot nmap. Okay, this would be scan 1 dot nmap. Let's take a snap of this thing as well. Port scanning here. Let's type all port scan service detection scan plus OS detection scan, and let's save the output from here. Let's take a before taking a screenshot, let's first of all let's try to observe something here. So certain key things to observe here is in our nmap output. One thing is FTP anonymous login is allowed. Okay, so let's try to mark this thing. FTP anonymous login is allowed here. Okay, and another thing is that uh, here Microsoft IIS version is 7.5, which is being shown. Okay, so that means that, but on the other hand, in the browser, we were able to see the version as 7
7.
point, right? So probably Nmap is providing you with the more appropriate version. Okay, so as of now, we are not going to lock the target operating system. We are just going to consider both of the options, like it can be Microsoft Server 2008 or 2008 R2. Okay. Okay. Another key things that you need to observe is while I was trying to visit the application through web browser, while I was trying to enumerate the application through web browser, I saw this welcome.png there,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm doubtful here is that maybe what I'm assuming here is, what I'm apprehending here is, like maybe the FTP access is same as of the website root directory, website home directory. Okay, I'll just confirm that as well. So first of all, let's take a snap here as well for port scan solicitation. Paste it here. So now what should I do? Any idea? Any guesses?
Maybe we can log into FTP server.
Right, so I can try to log into FTP server. Okay, that's one thing. So let's see. How can I log into FTP server? Simply do FTP.
FTP by IP address.
Target IP address.
10.10.10.5.
And press enter. So it is asking me for my username. But here I know that anonymous FTP login is allowed.
Yeah.
Let's do an anonymous FTP login here. Anonymous. Access allowed. Send identity email as password. Just type any password. So I'm just typing anything randomly here. Press enter. So I am successfully logged in. Okay, that's one for sure fact. So if I want to see what all commands are available here, as you can see that now I am inside the FTP shell. Okay, so I need to be aware of the FTP command. So I can simply type help here to list out the available commands. Okay. So here you can see that I have successfully logged into FTP. Let's take a note of this as well. FTP. Let's say logged in and checking for available commands. So let's do an ls over here. Ls, you can see ls is available here to list files.
Yeah.
When I did an ls here, I can see some files like this. This is probably going to be my the index.php, you can say, or the home index.
Website. Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Okay, website index file, which is calling welcome.php.
Welcome image. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can confirm the URL, like iis index.htm. Okay, maybe there's a typo here. I just iis start.htm. Okay, so iis start.htm. Yeah, so this is my home page here. Okay, so key observation here is let's take a snap here as well. It's not happening. Why is it not happening? Okay, I was using wrong keys. So now, okay. Okay, so one thing that you can observe here is that the directory, the home directory of the web server is same as the directory where you have logged in using FTP server. Okay, great. So any idea, any wild guesses? How can
Maybe we can send some files or something to FTP.
Right. That is absolutely right. Then,
So maybe so
so
the command sent for put command we can use with followed by IP, some file name.
right. So here what I can do is I can try to upload some malicious file through
Mhm.
FTP and then access and then execute that malicious file on the target server. And once that malicious file executes, I can get a shell back. Okay. I can get a remote control of the target server. Right?
So this file should be, I mean, in root directory of the system, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are already having access to that directory, right?
Mm.
So now the question arises is that what kind of file should I upload here? That's the question. I mean, I know that target is Windows server.
Mhm.
It's an IIS server, Windows based system, and I have FTP access. I have web server to execute something. So can I upload a exe file here?
Exe file, I have no idea, but as this is web page, we can upload HTML page.
Right. So because it's a web page, because it's a web server running, web server is
Mhm.
not going to execute the exe file. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to upload something which is understood by the server. Okay. So HTML is a client side language. We cannot do a lot of things using HTML. But what I can do is I can try to upload some kind of a server side language. Like in case of Linux, you would have observed like PHP files. PHP files are server side uh, languages. In case of Windows, we have got ASP and ASPX
ASP.
files. Okay.
Yeah.
These are the languages which are understood by the server and can be executed by the server. Okay.
Okay.
So let's do this thing. Let's create a shell, or before creating anything, let's just try to test this thing. Okay. While testing this thing, what I'm going to do is let's just create something using echo, say hello to hi.txt. Okay. I have created a txt file here. Let's just put hi.txt. Remote server connection closed. Let's log in again. That is because of inactivity. Transferred. Let's try to view this file here. So here you can see that I am able to upload something to the server, right?
Yeah.
So let's go here. Testing for put option and execution. So let's just take a snap here, put it here, and take the snap here. Put it here, and let's just confirm the same thing here as well. So this thing was just to prove that I am able to upload something.
Mhm.
That's one thing, and I am able to access it through the browser. Okay, it's a text file, so it's not an executable file. It's a normal plain text file. Now I'm going to put a shell file here, some kind of a programming language which can be executed by the server. So that is going to be my ASPX in this case. So let's just do exit here, because anyways this connection is going to be automatically timed out. So I'm going to use MSF Venom to create a payload, to create a reverse shell, send that reverse shell, get a shell back. So how to create that? Let's do MSF Venom. Have you used MSF Venom before?
No.
No. So basically MSF Venom is like a command line utility for creating payloads on the go. Okay. And it creates a whole variety of payloads out there. Okay. So let's just do MSF Venom -H. So I can see the help menu here. So let's just try to list the available payloads. So let's do -L payloads. I want to see the payloads which are available here. So here you can see whole variety of payloads available. Hmm. It's going to be a long list of payloads based upon your target. Okay, based upon your target operating system, target language preference. Okay,
So these payloads are inbuilt in MSF Venom?
yeah.
Okay.
So for now, I'm targeting Windows. So let's just grep for Windows based payloads. Only show me payloads that are for Windows. Okay. Now in here, I'm going to use Metapreter based payload. Okay.
TCP. Okay.
So I'm going to use Metapreter reverse TCP here. Okay. Now Metapreter based payloads can only and only be caught back by the Metasploit MSF console multi-handler. Okay. I'll show you how you need to start the listener as well. Okay. So I'm not going to use the 64-bit payload here. Okay. Why should I not use a 64-bit payload here?
If it is 32-bit, it's a problem. Yeah.
Right. So if the target operating system is going to be 32-bit, this
Then
is
it's
not
not possible. Yeah.
okay. So it's always for the safe side. It is good to always start with the 32-bit, because if it's a 64-bit operating system, so still it is going to execute the 32-bit payload.
Yeah.
If it's a 32-bit operating system, it's going to
Yeah.
execute. Okay, so we'll use the 32-bit for the safe side. Let's see if we have anything like that here. Okay, we do have something here. Here it is, Windows Metapreter reverse TCP. Okay, so let's just copy this one, copy this, do MSF Venom -P for payload. So the payload has been specified. Okay, and then I am going to use the flags like lhost and lport. So let me just tell you a brief about the reverse shell. So we are using a reverse shell based payload here. So it's like there's a target here. So there is a attacker machine here and there's a victim machine here. Okay. This is my target and this blue color is my attacker. Okay. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to send a reverse shell payload. Okay. So when I'm going to send this reverse shell payload from this machine to this machine, what is going to happen? When this shell is, I'm going to send this shell using FTP. Okay. I'm simply going to use the put command to upload this shell to the FTP server. And then I'm going to execute this shell. Once this shell is going to be executed, what is going to happen? This target machine is going to call back. It is going to create a reverse connection to the attacker machine. Okay. So there is going to be a reverse connection which is going to be created from the target back to the attacker. Okay. This is your reverse shell payloads. Now, for this shell to know, like when a connection is going to be made, the target needs to know this fact, like where it needs to connect, right? Like where to make the connection.
Yeah, I mean which port, like that?
Like which IP address and which port. Okay, where do you want to send this thing? So that's why there's this term called lhost and lport.
Yeah, local port. Okay.
Right. Local host and local port. These are going to be your attacker credentials here. Okay. And these are going to be embedded inside this reverse shell. Okay. So that when this payload gets executed, this payload knows where to connect back. Okay. I hope this thing is clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, great. So let's get back here and let's get our IP address here. That is 10.10.14.2. So lhost equals to 10.10.14.2 and lport can be anything. Let's just put something out of our fancy 6587. Okay. Now this payload is yet not completed. The command is not yet completed. I need to mention the output format as well. Okay. So whatever is going to be outputted, I want to save it in a specific format. So the format that I'm going to use is ASPX.
ASPX.
Okay. I can check available options by using MSF Venom -L formats. So here we can see variety of formats available to us. Okay, but we are going to use ASPX as we are targeting the IIS. Okay, so format has been specified here. Let's do a -O flag. Hyphen small o is basically used for
Save payload.
saving the output. Okay, so I want to save the output in, let's say, output file name needs to be shell.aspx. Okay, so this command is clear.
Yeah.
Let's press enter. Let's do ls here, and we can see shell.aspx is here. So this file has been created. Okay. Let's just take a screenshot of this thing as well. Exploitation. Here we have created the shell. Now let's upload this shell. FTP. Let's just put shell.aspx. So here we can see that the file has been uploaded. Before taking a snap, let me just try to annotate these stuffs here. And ls here, put here. Okay, great. Let's take a snap of this thing. So, okay, I have shared my screen again. I hope you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I was telling you that I have successfully uploaded it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So before executing this shell, we need to have something to catch this shell as well. Like when this connection is going to come back, we need to have some kind of a listener listening on our machine, right? On that port which will be mentioned in the in here in our payload.
Yeah.
On my
64.
machine, okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to run Metasploit now. Okay. So let's start Metasploit. So let's use exploit multi handler. Okay. And here what we need to do is, let's just type show options. Show options set. Lhost needs to be set. And before that, we need to set the payload first of all. Okay. So here you can see by default, the payload is generic shell reverse TCP. I need to set the same payload which I use in the in my MSF Venom. So let's just copy that payload from there and type set payload here. And now see the options. Payload has been set. Set the L host 10, 10, 14 to set L port 6587. Confirm using show options. Confirm. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything is good to go. Let's just type run, and it has started the reverse TCP handler here. Okay, great. So let me just take a snap of me setting up the payload here. Use, yeah, so let's mark these important lines here, commands here. MSF console, use this, set payload. And let's take a snap here. Exploitation, starting a multi handler, paste it here. And let's take a snap here. So these fields have been set, and then you need to type run. So let's take a snap here as well. Paste it here. Okay, now we can run the exploit. The exploit was shell.aspx, right?
Yeah.
And parallelly, what I want to do is I want to receive the connection on the left hand side. So let's press enter. I press enter, and on the left hand
Session
side,
over. Mm-hmm.
session
Yeah.
open. Okay, I can see a session being opened here. So let's take a complete screenshot here of both of these screen. Exploitation, gain access, or reverse shell. Okay, let's get back here. Let's do sysinfo and confirm that the target operating system is, first of all, it is Windows 7.
Yes.
Okay, so the guess that we did here was right. Actually, it was 7.5.
Right.
So Windows 7. Okay. So Nmap was telling us the right IIS version, basically. Okay. Now, the target architecture is 32-bit, and the payload that we used is 32-bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I did not use the 64-bit payload. Okay. If I would have used 64-bit payload, it would not have worked here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now what I need to do is, here I am provided with a Meterpreter session. Okay. I am going to convert this to a normal shell. Just type shell here. And now I have a Windows based shell here because I am more comfortable working this way. That's why I did this. Okay. So that's one thing. Okay. Or else let's do one thing. Let's just get back. Let's just do, let me just show you how we can see the system information. Just type system info, press enter. And here you can see a lot of information related to target operating system. Okay. Now, one thing that is of our interest here is hot fixes. Okay. So, do you understand what are hot fixes?
No.
Okay. Let me take a snap of this thing and exploitation. Let's create a new tree here saying previous. So hotfixes basically tells you like if the target machine has been ever patched or not, if it has been updated after the install or not. Okay. So you would have been using Windows for so long, and you would have observed like frequently there are a lot of patches and updates which are provided by the Windows,
Yeah.
right? So if we see that there are no hot fixes, nothing available here. So that, and it's a Windows 7, it's an old operating system. Okay. So it is very likely that it is going to be vulnerable to some kind of a kernel exploit. Okay. So there are two ways out here. One is using the manual exploitation. Okay. But we are going to look into manual exploitation throughout the course later on. Okay. So as of now, let's try to see how we can how we can escalate our privileges using
Yes.
Metasploit. Okay. Using Metasploit itself. So let's just do exit from the shell. I'm back to my Metapreter, and let's do BG. BG is to background the shell and search for suggest. I'm trying to look for the exploit suggester here. There's a module, it's a post exploitation module that you can only use this module after you have exploited the machine, after you have some shell. And it is going to enumerate the machine locally, and it is going to come up with some exploits which are likely uh, to impact the target operating system. Okay, so let's use this one. Use, I can simply copy paste this, or I can just do use 3, press enter. Okay, and just type show options. It says I need to mention the session, an active session. So let's just do sessions -L to list the active sessions. And the active sessions are like, I have one session, so let's just do set session 1, show options. The session has been set, and let's click on run. So it is running, it is going to run some exploits, and it is going to see if the target operating system is vulnerable to something. Okay, let's see. Meanwhile, it is running, let's document our steps as well. Okay. So from this point, privilege escalation. Let it run. Taking some time. 34 exploit checks are being tried. Okay. So what does it say? It says post module execution completed, and there are a lot of exploits available. Exploit Windows local PPR, this and that, a lot of stuff here. Okay. What I can try here is I can try using these exploits. That's one thing. Let me just show you Windows 7 exploit. Let's search for exploit DB. So we do have some local privilege escalation exploits available on exploit DB, available for 32 bits. CV is 2019, so it is relevantly, so it is pretty recent. Let's look for something old. Eternal Blue, no. Or let's just do one thing, Windows 7 exploit. So here I can see some exploits like MS11046 local privilege escalation. Okay. And all of these operating systems are vulnerable to this. MS11, that is not available here. So anyways, I was just telling you, like, if you need to do it manually, you are going to do it this way, but I'm automating this stuff. So let's just try to use some exploit here. Let's use the first one.
Okay.
It says the service is running, but could not be validated. Okay. It says the target appears to be vulnerable. This is the first one. Bypass UAC event viewer. This one I'm going to use. Let's just type use. Show options. Set session 1 and click on run. Okay, there are some errors here. The L host is wrong. Set. Sorry.
No, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's click on run. No session was created. Let's try to use some other exploit. Let's use this one. Set session 1. And let's just click on run right away. No session was completed, and I can see the IP address is wrong. Let's just do one thing, set G L host 10.10.14.2. Let's click on run. Oh, this is a wrong command here. That is set G. I have given a space at wrong position. Let's just stop this. Set G lhost show options. Lhost did not got updated. Yeah, now it is updated. Let's run. Exploit failed. Operation timed out. Let's try to run it again. Okay. Let's try to use some other exploit here. This one. So the exploits which are relatively new, they are almost going to work most of the times. Okay. Okay. Let's try this one. Okay. So it says session has been closed. My VPN is working. So let's get the session back again. Use exploit multi handler show options. Everything is configured. Just click on run. Let's just background it. So now it's the second session that is opened. Use set session 2 show options, set lhost, and let's click on run. Exploit completed, but no session was created. Sad. So, okay, we are not supposed to give up. Okay, although I already know the answer, but what I'm trying to show you here is that your penetration testing stuff, okay, that is full of errors. Okay, it is always going to be full of errors. Okay, because see, after this session, throughout the course, you will see I'm doing stuff very smoothly. Okay, that I'm able to right away attack something, or I'm able to escalate some privileges. I know the attack vector. Okay, this is happening because I know it beforehand. Okay, I have been doing it for so long. But when you are going to approach something for the first time, okay, that's why I'm showing you this stuff. Like if you are doing this for the first time, you do not know what is going to work and what is not going to work. Am I right?
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to go through with all the options which are available to you, everything one by one. Okay. Okay, let's see. MS13, what was the last one that we used? It was MS.
This one, yeah.
Let's use this one. set session to and here you can see that this exploit worked.
Yeah.
Everything seems to have worked. Cross your fingers and wait for system shell. Sending stage, blah, blah, blah. Metapreter session 3 opened. And this is my sysinfo. Just to sysinfo. I'm here just to get UID. And I am anti-authority system here. Okay. So let's take a note of it. Let's go here. And now we know that this one worked. So let's just highlight it. What was the last step that we documented? We ran the exploit suggestor sessions-L. So here it is. So I'm going to take a snap from this point to this point. And let's just, so most of the times we are not going to document the failed steps. Okay. Whatever steps that failed, most of the times we do not document them. Okay, like 99% of the times, because the concerned party, whosoever we are trying to submit the report, they are not concerned about the failed attempts. They just want to know those attempts which where you were able to succeed. Okay. So that's why what happens is, let me just tell you a great issue here. Like you are provided with 2 hours or let's say 4 hours for a pen test. Okay. And after 4 hours, along with 400 failures, you come up with only a single vulnerability. Okay. And you create a report of a single vulnerability, and the person who is not aware of the technical nitty-gritty, he feels like you have done only this much work in 4 hours. Like, I hope
I understood. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is the thing here. So they do not know about all the failed attempts that we underwent here. Okay. So okay, let's just go here all the way to the down. Use exploit this one. So let's take a snap here. Let's take a note here as well. All of the above exploits earlier to MS-13 failed. Okay, let's get back here. And at last, I am going to take a snap here for the root shell. I am the root here. I mean the anti-authority system. And here you can see that I have successfully rooted this machine. Okay. Now I have already submitted the flags. Let me just confirm. Yes, I have already submitted it. But for you, what you are going to do, pwd cd /ls cd users ls cd administrator cd desktop, and there's this file called root.txt. That is something that you need to read, copy it, paste it, okay, and you would be able to do this. And similarly, cd Babis is a user here, cd desktop and cat user.txt, and you can read this file as well. Whatever is the output, just copy it, go to your platform here, Hack the Box platform here, click on submit and submit your flag here. Okay. Easy peasy.
No, this is different. Yeah.
Right. So the end goal of doing this machine was to make you aware of this common vulnerability that whenever FTP and HTTP are running, just confirm this fact that if the directories, the home directories of both of the servers are same or not. If they are same, then that's a jackpot there. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is that how you can use MSF Venom to create custom payloads. And the third thing is how you use local exploits register from Metasploit framework. Okay. Things are going very smooth as of now. Okay, because we are using Metasploit, right? So we are not exploiting anything manually. We are not doing privilege escalation by local enumeration, by doing it by ourselves. We are just using Metasploit framework. So this is the power of Metasploit framework. Basically, it's an automated exploitation framework. Okay, and that's how it works. So I hope up till this point, this is like a very good enough or sufficient intro to the Metasploit framework, right? Good enough introduction to Metasploit framework.
Yeah, this is enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have already done 3 machines using Metasploit framework, and I would like to request you as well to practice along with whatever we are going through in this session. Okay, and make sure that you have done all of these 3 machines by yourself. Okay, that's one thing. Now going here. Okay. So we are done with these 3 machines here. You can see. Okay. Next, we are going to do either the optimum, okay, or we are going to look into some kind of a Linux box. We'll see. Okay. I have not decided yet, like what I'm going to cover in the next session. Okay. But anyways, so yeah. Any doubts so far? Anything you want me to iterate?
So far, no.
Okay. Are you
Maybe
practicing?
I need to learn more commands. Yeah.
Okay. So, are you practicing whatever we are covering here?
Right now, no. To be frank, I didn't have that much time, but I'll
Okay.
make sure because in 2 weeks we are gonna have baby boy.
Okay.
So with the hectic schedule here, it's not like in India. There's so many documentation process I need to go.
Mhm.
So from December onwards, I will be on parental leave for 1 year. So I have ample of time.
Right, I understand. So not an issue, but now you have 5 more days with you. Okay, try to
Yeah,
do.
I'm reading. I'm reading the documentation of this also.
Okay, so I've shared another very good link for your reference. Okay,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff is mentioned here. You can go through this
I
thing.
think I have it. Yeah, you sent me on the first session, introduction session.
Yeah, probably I have shared this thing, but I just shared it again in case I forgot to share it earlier. So that's why I shared it now. Okay. Okay.
So Rishabh, tell me, how tough is this OSCP exam?
OECP exam, it's, I would say, pretty tough, good
Mhm.
enough. Okay. So it's like if you want to appear for OECP exam, we had this list here, right? So it is like if you're trying to, if you're planning for OECP exam, I would suggest you to go through all of these machines first. Okay. Then
Mhm.
appear for the OECP exam.
So the scenario will be same like all these machines,
Yeah, the scenario is
or yeah, please continue.
Yeah, so the scenario is going to be same. It is going to be like you are provided with 5 IP addresses, okay, and it is going to be totally black box test, like you do not know anything
Mhm.
other than the IP
My
address.
information. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and see the issue with the exam is like you will be having a lot of rabbit holes there, okay. So the exploitation here is easy. Why? Because it's like we only have 2 ports, as you have seen. We had 21 and 80, and both of them, enumerating both of those ports were relevant. None of them was like something to distract you or to mislead you. Okay. But on the other hand, in the exam, there are going to be rabbit holes. There are going to be unnecessary ports open, okay, which are supposed to be there just to waste your time. Okay, like you are trying to exploit the machine using port number 80, but uh, it seems to be vulnerable, but it is not. That is what, uh, that's how exam happens when exam works.
Okay.
Yeah.
But which one is better, OSCP or the ECSA?
Which one is easy?
No, no, better. I mean, most valid. I know OSCP is a good certification, but how about ESCA? Sorry,
Yeah.
ECSA.
So it's like it depends upon your profile. Okay, like if you want to go, if you are willing to move towards the core penetration testing, then OSCP
Mm-hmm.
is like the gold standard, you can say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are in a general cybersecurity domain and you are advancing your career there, then ECSA is going to be of more help to you. Okay. Because it does not expect you to know a lot of stuff like OSCP. Not a lot of loopholes or rabbit holes are there.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
ECSA also has a practical examination and the pattern is very similar,
Mm-hmm.
but the difficulty is low.
Uh-huh.
Whatever we are doing here, it is like you are going to be competent enough to appear for the ECSA practical examination as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the machines are relatively easy, I would say. Okay. In ECSA. Okay, let's close this thing. All right, so